to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Hello, everyone. How are you today? I am back to continue the series, Conversations with God. I changed the time period because I slept so good and I haven't been able to sleep since I've taken on a part-time night job, right? So I usually don't get home till 9:30-ish. I usually have 2 readings at 10 p.m. and 10:30. Um, and then I allow myself to unwind. But when I unwind, sometimes I don't go to bed till 1 o'clock and I've got to be up, early to do Good Morning Tracy. And it's like, what am I doing? And I knew it was just a matter of time that my body just needed to get used to something different in my life. I knew that. And so last week I couldn't come on because my body was not willing to work with me. And I had to listen to my body, which brings me to another point, everyone. Please take the time out to listen to your body. Your body doesn't like the foods that you're eating, and it's telling you. Your body needs sleep, and it's telling you. And start talking to your body and letting your body know, I hear you. I know I'm not doing right by you. I'm going to do better, right? Start talking to your body. It's the only way that we're going to heal, right? And healing physically makes it so much better to heal metaphysically, mentally, okay? So I know my body is not used to working 5 days a week. It's unheard of for me. I also know that what I was doing was taxing on my body, but I have to give God a lot of grace because if you remember back in November when I went to go see my doctor, he was so upset with me and he's like, you have to lose weight, you have to lose weight. And I said, Doc, I promise you, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna lose weight, which forced me to walk every day, right? Until I felt uncomfortable walking. I was walking in the mornings, 15 minutes, walking in the evenings, 15 minutes. I started to feel uncomfortable walking in the morning because there just wasn't enough people around. And then that's when I changed to pajama exercises, right? And still walked in the evening. What I didn't know, right? But the other thing I want to offer up is that you have to learn to listen to spirit. Spirit is the voice inside of you, right? Spirit talks to you in your voice because if you actually heard spirit, you would probably die. True story. If you actually heard God's voice, right, you would be so petrified that your heart would give out. True story. So instead, God, who loves you so much, talks to you in your voice. The problem with us humans is that we think our voice is the silly part of us, right? We think we're talking to ourselves when we hear our own voice. We think we are telling ourselves something so silly and something that you can't relate to that you wind up not listening to yourself. But that voice is designed for you. It's designed because God knows you might hear yourself better. But instead, as humans, we turn it around and we think that whisper of a voice, that loud voice, is the silly part of us, right? And so we wind up not listening anyways. So God is so disappointed in the fact that he can't get through to us most times, right? And so he has to patiently wait until we get the memo again. Interesting enough, the memo may come in the same form, your voice. Because God is like, I'm going to teach them, silly humans, how that inner voice is everything, is me. I'm not going to change the way I communicate with you, right? Right? There are other signs if you awaken to it that God does give us, right? I'll give you a really good example of a really strong sign that I needed, that I don't know if I would have listened to my inner voice. And I was taking my car to the mechanic, somebody that deals with just starters and alternators, even though every guy that looked at my car and measured it said the alternator's good, the starter's good, but the car was not turning over. So I was taking it to an alternator specialist, and that's all they do. The morning of, now why was I standing there? I was taking out the garbage, and a tow truck came by. And tow trucks never come by. Like, I don't live on that street where you just see a tow truck. It just doesn't happen, right? Tow truck came by. And the first thing I said to God was, am I going to need a tow truck? And it didn't make sense. Why? Because once I get the car started, the car's up and running. But I thought, well, maybe if I turn it off, then I might need a tow truck. But even then, I would only need somebody to charge the battery, right? So I knew something was wrong when I saw the tow truck. And let me tell you something, this tow truck rolled by so slowly. It didn't speed by, it so slowly that I knew. I was like, this is a message for me. What the hell is going to happen today, right? I get to the starter and alternator guy, and I get out my car and I notice a pool of water coming out of my car. Sometimes you and I both know that air conditioning will drip the water. I didn't have the air conditioning on. But silly me, I'm like, oh, well, I don't know what that is. And I go to talk with the starter alternator guy. When he comes and looks at my car and he says, your brake pipe broke, your brake line broke. And he said, look at this. And I said, yeah, I saw it when I got out the car just now. And he goes, I can't touch this car. You have to get this fixed first. And then he goes, do you know where your emergency brake light is? And I'm like, no, I really don't. So he gets a little frustrated. He wants my car off his lot. Not in a bad way. It was like, do this. Go take this to a mechanic that can fix this. And right away I realized what the tow truck was about. My brake fluid line had broke. How I got there, don't know, right? There, but the grace of God, babies and fools, got it. The fool, right? God protects babies and fools. I'm the fool. So I don't know how I got there because by the time I landed, the fluid was pouring out. So he put more fluid in to get me to my next destination. And he says, use your emergency brake if there's a problem. Now, I don't panic. There's nothing I panic about. I don't panic. And I thought I had an appointment with an emergency guy by my job, which was at least a mile away, but it was like hilly, up, down, up, down. And I'm like, I am telling God, I was like, I'll never make it there. Like, I already know it. I won't make it there. When I remembered my driving Miss Daisy told me where to take my car. And I remember, like, God is so good. I remember passing it one day on my own. And so I just had to figure out which street to go down. But again, how good is God's grace? I didn't panic, and God led me right to the place. All right. Now, I say that to say, of course, it got fixed. It cost me a pretty bundle that I didn't necessarily have. But the bottom line is, I wasn't interested in dying, nor was I interested in hurting others. And the car got fixed as it should, as it should have, as it should. But I say that to say to listen to your inner voice. And to fix the brake cost me a bundle. But notice I'm not complaining to you about how broke I am. Notice, right? It's the least of my worries. I would have been more mortified knowing I had a choice to call a tow truck and didn't, and I hurt somebody or hurt somebody's child, hurt somebody's wife, hurt somebody's husband, right? And why? Because I listened to God's voice. I listened to God's voice. I knew that I could not take my car too far. I also knew that the place that I took it to was 4 blocks over from the starter guy. I knew I could get charged out my ass, but I was comfortable with my ass being charged out because I knew that my life mattered. More importantly, I knew other people's lives matter, and I would never be able to spend the rest of my life knowing that I hurt, maimed, deleted anybody ever in a day. And all because I listened to the voice inside of me. Now, that kind of brings me to tears because that leads us to conversations with God and how we all have these conversations with God, all of us, and that it's very important to have these continuous trusts with that voice inside your head. Are you crazy? Sometimes. Most times you're not, right? You don't have a voice that says punch somebody in the face, right? You have a voice that says maybe stay home from work today. Maybe submit the project a little early. That's the voice that you have inside your head. And that's a simple, loving voice that encourages you to do the right thing in spite of the circumstances that you're in. You get the voice that says, maybe it's time to leave this relationship. Maybe it's time to talk to a counselor, right? Maybe it's time to start looking for another job. Those are the voices that are loving and supportive, right? And that's not evil, but somehow or another, we take on listening to ourselves as if that part of ourselves is crazy or evil. When God talks to you, God talks to you in ways that's helpful to you. There's no voice inside of you that is of God to tell you to harm people. None. So, where are you with trusting the voice inside of you? Where are you with knowing I need to make some organic changes in my life? And being comfortable with making these organic changes, or better yet, being comfortable with planning organic changes. Maybe the changes don't need to be made today. Maybe you just need to look at your situation and plan it better. And sometimes planning could take months, right? Sometimes observing a situation, a relationship, sometimes that could take months before you can see clearly. The objective is to see. That's the whole objective. Can you see? Can you listen to the voice that's inside of you? Can you understand what is happening without making things up in your head? Because remember, your head is already talking to you. You don't want to listen. God is already talking to you through your Oya. Wait, or Ori. Ori. All right now. Mm, I feel good today. Hi, Lisa Stanford. Hello, sweetie, in good health. Peace and blessings, sweet Carmel. Peace and blessings to you too, and good health. Hi, Stephen. How are you? And good health. The sign for today is if you want to be faithfully represented, represented, you must work on changing your life, anything that doesn't align with the image you want to project in eternity. That's a good one. The image that you want to project. So, you may have to reintroduce yourself when you decide who the new you is. Isn't that a song? Like a Jay-Z song or something? Let me reintroduce myself. All right. We're going to turn to page 50, although I didn't check to see how to begin. So, we are going to start at page 50, and we're going to go to the top of the page and see if I can catch up somewhere. Conversations with God. Please feel free to call me for your own personal reading, 213-458-7408. 213-458-7408. Conversations with God, page 50. All right, let's get this party started. I am showing you in stark terms that the world exists the way it exists because you have chosen for it to. You are systematically destroying your own environment, then pointing to so-called natural disasters as evidence of God's cruel hoax or nature's harsh way. You have played the host on yourself, and it is your ways which are cruel. Let's stop for a minute. because that's hard to fathom that any of us are doing an injustice to ourselves. Can we admit that? I'm not doing anything, God. You're doing it. You're the one that's giving us hurricanes, right? But did you know hurricanes don't have to come? Did you know that? Bad weather doesn't have to come. That sometimes natural disasters are a form of resetting. That sometimes God just wants us to reset. That if He doesn't reset us, like in Katrina, right? We go about doing the same things over and over again. Did you know that God will reset to save one person? Did you know that? Did you know that in the wake of Katrina, do you know that God may have done that to save one child? Can you imagine that? Because the masses, either the political masses or the community masses, were so accustomed to their way of life, they had no interest in ever changing. Did you know that there are still quarters not built up? Did you know that some of those quarters were so difficult to live in and the community did not care? Did you know that there could have been a child born in that community that God needed to save? You think God wouldn't change the world and restructure the world for one of his special ones? He did it with Jesus. Why couldn't he do it with another child? You don't have to know the child's name. You just have to know that God will destroy everything if he needs a child to be born to cure cancer. You don't have to know that. And that if he didn't destroy New Orleans, nothing would have ever changed. And New Orleans was not living healthy. As a totality, it was not living healthy. That it's been going on for years like that since slavery. That the people that are responsible for taking care of the people in New Orleans didn't care. Did you know that Noah's Ark is performed over and over and over and over again? Water is cleansing. Hurricanes are by way of wind and water cleansing. Yeah, yeah. So I am showing you in stark terms that the world exists the way it exists because you have chosen for it to. You are systematically destroying your own environment, then pointing to so called natural disasters as evidence of God's cruel hope or nature's harsh ways. You have played the hoax on yourself, and it is your ways which are cruel. Nothing, nothing is more gentle than nature. And nothing, nothing has been more cruel to nature than man. Yet you step aside from all involvement in this, denying all responsibility. It is not your fault, you say. And in this, you're right. Because it's not a question of fault, it is a matter of choice. You can choose to end the destruction of your rainforest tomorrow. You can choose to stop depleting the protective layer hovering over your planet. You can choose to discontinue the ongoing onslaught of your Earth's ingenious ecosystem. You can seek to put the snowflake back together, or at least to a halt in melting. But will you do it? You can simply end all war tomorrow. Simply and easily. All it takes and all it has ever taken is for all of you to agree. Yet if you cannot all agree on something as basically simple as ending the killing of each other, how can you call upon the heavens with shaking fists to put your life in order? I will do nothing for you that you will not do for yourself. That is the law and the prophets. Now, we've all heard that, side note, right? God takes care of those that take care of himself, right? Sometimes that doesn't make sense, right? I'm with you. I'm like, oh, child, today's a bad day to give me that same, right? And yet, it's almost like I can give you an example of relationships. God takes care of those that takes care of themselves. And yet, we find ourselves completely incapable of leaving our relationships because why? Because we love them. And yet, every day we can see how badly our relationships treat us. You're calling on God for help. God, I need your help in this relationship. Fix it. But you don't even know what you want fixed. You just know you want God to intervene. What you're saying to God is that I need my partner to treat me better. But what if that's not meant to be? And the better objective is for you to leave your relationship. What if that's the calling that God wants you to understand? And what if you left your relationship? And I've heard this by many of people. My life got way better when I left this relationship. I've heard that from many people. And I'm like, yeah, I could see that. Because you're holding on to sand and dust in a relationship. The action of a person is love. And you keep holding on, expecting the actions to get better. Calling on God. I pray to God all the time, Tracy. I hear you. But what are you praying for? Because even that needs to be out loud. I pray that my relationship treats me how? Kinder, nicer, speaks to me better. But we don't say that out loud, right? We just say, God, make my relationship better. And God's like, well, what's better to you? If you tell me what's better to you, I may find someone that will do that for you. I don't know if you're ready because you can't even say to me exactly what you need to change to be better. You're just saying better. Well, guess what? You're your own magician. It is up to you to use words to help God, your spirit, your guides, your ancestors to know exactly what you want. I get a lot of readings where people say, Tracy, how's my money doing? And I'm like, why don't you know how your money is doing? Why is that the magic question? How's my money doing? Your money's doing exactly the way you see it when you get paid. Well, what does that mean, Tracy? It means that you have money. You get paid. You have an amazing job. By the way, most of my people are highly educated. You have an amazing job. Why don't you know how's your money doing? Why are you putting it on me to figure out how your money is doing? Are you looking for another job? No. Not even a part-time job? No. Tracy, I'm a professional. This is all I could do. Yeah, I know that. But you're asking me how your money is doing. That's the wrong question for me. You should be able to say, Tracy, when I get paid, it's depleted. What am I doing wrong? Oh, now we can talk. But you're not willing to look at what you're doing. So once we establish that you get paid well, right? And none of this should be a problem, then we can look at the reading and we can tell you're overspending. You get your paycheck and you go running to the Bullseye, to Walmart. You be online like, I've been trying to get this sweater. Let me tapping that phone. You got kids. You don't want your kids running around with skips. So you buy them $200 Nikes. Is it absolutely necessary to do that? Clean out your kid's closet. What's going on in there? You might find several Nikes that your child is not wearing. That we can put a pause on spending so that you could see you overspend. So what's happening to your finances is you're overspending. And that is the thing that needs to be addressed. Not having any expectation of the lottery coming in. Don't let millionaire lottery fool you. It is one in a million. Oh, you're welcome, Margaret. Oh, thank you for your wisdom. I often don't take credit for what I say to you. I pray to God. Even though I don't think I prayed so hard today, I think I feel a lot more confident, and so weeks passed before tarot class, I would be petrified and I talked to God and I was like, you gotta help me, you gotta help me. Like, I need to know what you want me to say. I've got to do this well, God. Be here with me. Be my voice, Jesus. God, put inside my mind what it is you want me to say, and Jesus be my voice, right? Today, I was like, all right, God, let's do this. I think the fear in knowing that I am qualified to complete my task with God, right? But why do I feel qualified? Because I trust the inner voice inside of me. So, not just for this segment on my YouTube, right? This is one aspect of trusting the voice inside of me. I trust that when I leave here and get off of this channel and God says, clean out your closet, and I'm feeling hella lazy and I'm like, oh, well, I think I need to take a nap first. And God says, okay, there you go, not listening. And then I go, all right, God, if I organize my time, maybe I can clean out my closet today and then take a nap later. Okay, I'll do it now, right? And then I'll find something in that closet that I've been missing. I'm like, oh my God, are you serious? And God's like, yeah, I tried to tell you. That's right. And the thing is, when God is telling you to do something in that moment and you find what you're looking for or you thought was lost, if I had waited, maybe I wouldn't have found it. Probably because I would have waited and not had cleaned out the closet. And whatever I needed for a specific reason. Like I needed to find this, right? Like a passport or something. Clean out your closet. One day I was having a problem with PayPal. And I called PayPal and they said, you're selling weed over the internet. And I said, I'm not. I'm selling a product that has weed in it. And they said it's illegal because it's federal. And so you can't mail out products like that. And California had just become weed free. And they respected that. They're like, yes, we do understand that California has made some changes, but federally, these changes have not been made. So, with that being said, you cannot sell that. And we shut down your account. And I said, fuck. And I said, okay, fine. And they said, we'll refund you your monies in 90 days. And I said, fine, right? And then one day I was sleeping. I swear, I get most of my messages between 5 and 7 in the morning. Most people get it between 3 and 5. Mine comes around 5. And I hear Spirit say, call PayPal. And I'm still sleeping, but I knew. I was like, get up and call PayPal. So I called PayPal first thing in the morning and I explained the situation. And the woman said to me, we realize this is your first time that your account has ever been shut down. You are in good standing with us, so we will give you another chance. Under no circumstances do you sell anything with weed, no products, and put it through the mail. And I said, I promise a day in a lifetime, I will never. And thank you, madam. Right? And I have not since sold anything with weed in it. But let me tell you something. The product that I was making was a facial product. Oh my God, my fucking bestseller. It was my bestseller. You know why? Weed. Ooh, child. Weed makes your skin amazing. I was putting cocoa butter and I forgot what I was putting it in. It's not weed. It's the oil of weed. I forget what they call it. Oh my God. I was making a spray that had rose water. Oh my God. My bestseller. My bestseller. And I had to stop selling it. I couldn't save the beauty in people's faces. I was like, shit. And then I had all these products left over, right? So I just gave them away as gifts, like literally to people in California, not putting it through the mail. And I used most of it on myself. So when you guys ask, why do I look so young? It's weed, people. It's weed. Okay. I'm wondering, actually, since I couldn't sell it, maybe I could just teach you all how to make it yourselves. I could do that. Why didn't I think of that in the first place? I could do that. I have to figure out how I made it. Oh man, it was so good. I could do that. Hmm, okay. Show them and then put it on YouTube and then teach people how to make their own cocoa butter rose spray with weed. All right, God. All right. We'll talk. We'll talk. All right. Would you guys like that if I put out a video that shows you how to make your own facial creams and uh, water sprays with weed. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. That Margaret's a girl after my own heart. $20 a class. Hmm. I was actually thinking about just putting it on YouTube. You know, I'll get paid through YouTube as well. Hmm. Now the juices are calculating. I gotta get some weed from around here. I gotta find some weed. All right, I might do it. I might do it. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited now. All right. Oh, by the way, I shut down my Amazon account. I'm very proud of myself. I am free. I'm free from the thralls of getting something delivered the very next day. I do not like Prime bullshit. I rather pay the extra money. Um, I'm free from Amazon. I'm free. Thank the Lord, I am free. All right. You can simply end all war tomorrow, simply, easily. All it has ever taken is for all of you to agree, Russia and Ukraine. Does anybody still know what that war is about yet? If you cannot all agree on something as basically simple as the ending, the killing of each other, how can you call upon the heavens with shaking fists to put your life in order? I will do nothing for you that you will not do for yourself. That is the law and the prophets. The world is in the condition it is because of you and the choices you have made or the choices you have failed to make. Not to decide is a decision. The earth is in the shape it's in because of you and the choices you have made, or the ones you have failed to make. Your own life is the way it is. Light bulb moment. Light bulb moment. Your own life. Where am I? Your own life is the way it is because of you and the choices you have made, or of the choices you have failed to make. Listen to me, people. If you're in a relationship that you know you should leave and you fail to leave, your own life is the way it is because of you. Now, if we stay focused on relationships, which is one of my favorite topics, when I knew my relationship was over, the first thing I did was make a decision to look at my relationship. Listen to what I'm saying. I took the time out to look at my relationship, look at the actions of my husband, and document the actions of my husband. It took me 6 months to observe, and that's all I did was observe him. I made love to him, I cooked for him, I washed his drawers, and I observed him at all times. And I documented his actions to me. And it took me about 6 months before I realized I did not like this man. I needed to change something. I am no longer expecting change from him. I am done. I am through. I am out of here. Never once having a conversation with him. I had already begged him to be a better man. I had already cried. I had already been on my knees begging him. The cops have been called to my house. I did everything. So now I needed to see why a man would stay with me and not like me. And so I observed him and documented the things that he did and did not do for me. And I weighed the categories out. What he did for me of kindness and care, and what he didn't do on purpose out of unkindness and care. There is no reason to be in a relationship that your husband gets off at 4 o'clock and he's not home till 2. Why am I in a relationship like that? I document it. And it took me 6 months to document. Not that it should take anybody that long. For me, it took 6 months. Because I needed to know that if I walked away from my marriage with my child, I will never come back again. I never wanted to make a mistake and say, oh, I shouldn't have left him, and I'm so in love with him that I'm going to go back to the same fucking abuse. No. I had to decide that I was alone in my marriage. I also had to decide I liked being alone. At some point, he would come home and I'd be like, oh, let me go to my bedroom. I don't like him. My alone time was the best time when I was married. Why am I with you if I like being alone? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Was I there for the sex? No, it wasn't that good. Did I love him? Absolutely. Did I love me more than him? Absolutely. So let's repeat the part where it says, your own life is the way it is because of you and the choices you have made, or of the choices you have failed to make. I was talking to a client last night and I kept saying to her, and it was hard for her to hear, but sometimes it's okay if something's hard for you to hear. I just still need you to hear it. And I said to her, no, the relationship you're having at work is because of you. So you might want to consider doing this different, doing that different, speaking more assertively. And it was hard for her to hear, but in the end, she'll get it, right? The reading is not to demand that someone take my word for it. The reading is to get you to understand that something different needs to change, and the different thing that needs to be changed is you. And it also might mean you have to change jobs. That's not what I saw for her. What I saw for her was the ability to start speaking up. Because if she doesn't change what she's doing, she will change jobs, and she's going to just bring the same person to the next job and always complaining and whining. And that's not what God wants for you. God wants for you to change, I told her, and God will bring the same people in different pants, in different cultures, same characteristics until you change. Same thing goes with relationships. Don't you ever wonder why you keep meeting up with the same character, right? Because you're comfortable with that character. But something about you needs to change so that you could understand, I create the relationships that come in. I fail not to see, oh, this is like my ex. Get out. All right, are we good? Good morning, Miss Tracy. I'd love to know how to make those products. Okay. Hi, Black Coffee, No Cream. How are you? Okay. So then someone says, and we had this discussion very similar in group. Someone says, but I did not choose to get hit by a mat. Wait, I'm sorry. I did not choose to get hit by that truck. I did not choose to get mugged by that robber. I did not choose to be raped by that maniac. People could say that. There are people in the world who could say that. Absolutely. Right? I did not choose to be molested as a kid. Right? You are all at root cause for the conditions which exist, which create in the robber the desire or the perceived need to steal. You have all created the consciousness which makes rape possible. Wow. Excuse me, guys. It is when you see in yourself that which caused the crime that you begin at last to heal the condition from which it sprang. I don't know if I agree here. I don't know if I 100% agree here. I get it. I get when they say, ugh, it's kind of weird, right? So here's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing as a totality, we cause the raper to rape. As a totality, we cause the drunk to hit your car, right? As a total, I get it, but there are circumstances where it is completely beyond your control. However, as a totality, when a child is molested, as an example, the child is truly the victim, period, point blank. However, there are circumstances within that household that lead someone to be suspect that someone else in the household may not be safe. And it's that inner voice that the adults in the household don't listen to, right? If that makes any sense. There are just times when you might suspect something and like you suspect something and you have to run to the store, right? And you shouldn't leave the kids. Like there's something that's there, but you ignore it because the kids are always with you. You're so goddamn tired. You're only going to be gone for 5 minutes. What the fuck, right? And so you run to the store and you come back. And because the molester is really good at tricking people, you come back to a perfect household. Maybe a little too perfect. Maybe a little too serene. Not chaos, right? You know a kid is safe, seriously. You know a kid is safe when chaos ensues. When they are yelling, screaming, jumping off pillows, fighting with one another. I know that sounds weird, but that's actually a normal household. If you come back and your household is pristine and disciplined, be afraid. Because there might be, like, that's not what kids do. They are born to bring chaos into your life. I remember my sister used to be in a group home, and she was in this group home for years. And I remember every time I went to this group home was pristine. It was clean. Eat off the floor clean. And this woman had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people and two were physically disabled. One could walk, one couldn't walk, and two couldn't speak, right? But this household was pristine. And I remember thinking, this is a problem. It's always clean, always pristine. But then I shrugged it off, right? Right? My sister should live in a house that's pristine. So what are you talking about, Tracy? Like, that doesn't make sense. This is my voice convincing my voice. This is right. And one day, oh my God, one day I was there and this girl was banging behind one of the doors. And I mean banging. Banging. Everybody was acting like this was normal. And I looked at the owner of the house. Her name is Edith. I hate this woman. And I said, what's the banging? And she goes, oh, she doesn't speak. And she bangs at the door. And my sister had already been there like 2 years. And I said, oh, is she new? And she's, no, I've had her since the house has been here. I said, you've had this woman in this house since before Tony, and I've never seen her? And it triggered something inside. I saw the twist in her neck. And she goes, well, she doesn't speak. And I was just looking at her. I was like, oh, okay. Guess what that woman did? That woman started bringing her out of the room. Because I didn't know I was triggering, right? I don't know anything about special needs people. I just have my sister. I had just put her into the system. I didn't know about abuses and little signs of abuse. I didn't know any of this. So next thing you know it, I'm visiting my sister and the girl is out of the room. And I said, who's this? When I tell you ignorance, when people are trying, ignorance. I said, who's this? I forget what her name is. I have a picture of her. I have a picture of all of them. And she says, so-and-so, acting like it was normal for me. And I was like, oh, is she new? And she goes, no, that's the one that bangs. And I was like, she's out? I can't keep my mouth shut, people. I was like, she's out? And of course, now we know that we, Edith and I, both know there's a problem that Edith is trying to fix. So Edith goes, yes, of course she's out. She's, she eats dinner with us. I was like, what the fuck? This tiny little girl, the last time I was there, was trying to tell me something. I'm sorry I laughed, people. If you knew my life, you would laugh too. So, oh my God, this tiny little girl, 100 pounds tops, was banging at the door, trying to get my attention. She knew I was her only savior, but I didn't know I was saving. If you guys knew the story of Tracy, all those that want to be a psychic, take it. Take my life, because it's hell, right? So all I could think is, I looked at the little girl and I spoke with her telepathically. And I said, I didn't know, sweetie, and I hope this helps, right? And she stayed out ever since. Turns out she's a lot more disciplined than they gave her credit for. Oh my God, the nightmare in some group homes, like, you have no idea. All right, why did I bring that up? Oh, so at some point in this group home, this pristine looking group home, not a thing out of place, which is completely abnormal for special needs kids, let alone regular kids. Regular kids bring chaos. Special needs kids bring turbulence and chaos. It's a nightmare, right? But somehow this house was pristine. And I kept saying, something's wrong. Something's wrong. It's too clean. Like, what is she covering up? But I ignored it, right? Because I had to decide that I had to work, that my sister was safe in a group home. So I had to ignore it because I didn't know what else I was looking at other than the pristine of the household, other than some little girl being locked up, but that got fixed, right? So what else was I supposed to be looking for, right? Tony was fine, right? And then one day I was going to visit my sister and I passed through a Carl's Jr. and I went in to get a sandwich. And when I went in, a caregiver was there with a couple of the kids in the house. And she goes, hey, I heard you were coming for Tony today. And I was like, yeah, come to get her, come to hang out with her, you know. And she goes, we're so glad to see you. It was weird the way she was talking to me. It was almost like an airy movie, right? In Carl's Jr. I don't know if you know Carl's Jr., guys. It's a hamburger place. Like this airy movie. And she's like, we're so happy to see you. Listen for the signs, people. I'll never forget the way she said it, the way that she said it. It was like, huh? Okay, maybe I'll be here when you get back with Tony. And I was like, well, we're not going to rush back. I'm not putting a time on it, so I don't know. All right, sweetie, see you later. See you later, Tracy. Weird. And then she comes running after me and she goes, Tracy, can I tell you a few things before you pick up Tony? And I said, sure. And she vomited. She told me how my sister was literally getting touched at night, molested every single night. She told me why it had gone down. And the house where Tony was living was not safe. Now, you imagine getting that information and trying not to kill anyone. So I looked at her and I said, thank you. Thank you for being honest. Thank you for clearing the air. Thank you for standing up for my sister. And I proceeded to go to the house, pick up my sister, acting like nothing is going on. Picked up my sister. Now, whatever we were planning to do, that shot to pieces. So, by the way, if you ever want to have a difficult conversation, go for a car drive, right? So now we're on a car drive. And I say, hey, Tony, do you feel safe in the house? And of course, in the beginning, she's conditioned to lie, right? And so I have to say to her, I can fix this. I need you to tell me what is going on in the house. And we have this thing, I forgot what it is now. My sister and I had this thing, I got you. And she knows if I say I got you, I'm about to whip some motherfucking ass. And I said, Tony, how did you get here to California? And she goes, because of you, sis. I said, Tony, I got you. Tell me what's going on. And hence, she explained what was going on. So I say that to say this part doesn't make 100% sense to me, but I think I get it as a totality. Are we responsible for rapists out in the world? Maybe we as a totality, we as a culture, right? I remember I went to Jerusalem and everybody was buying jewelry and expensive jewelry. And I didn't come to Jerusalem to buy expensive jewelry. That seems stupid to me, right? To me. So I looked at a tour guide, and I said, I can't do this, and I can't wait for these people to buy their jewelry because I really don't want to see what jewelry that they brought. I'm happy that they can afford jewelry. I'm not down for this. And he says, walk home. And I was like, what? And he goes, it's a straight run. So he takes me outside the building, and he said, this sidewalk will take you back to the hotel. Walk home. And I said to him, I'll get raped. And he says, this is not America. It was 9 o'clock at night, people. And he goes, this is not America. And I looked him in the eyes and I thought, I trust this. I trust what he is saying. And I said, okay, I'll walk home. Because the community did not encourage disparaging relationships. The country did not encourage disparaging relationships. Whereas in America, we encourage school shootings. Don't tell me that we don't. We do. And then we want to talk about Saugus strong, Boston strong, but fuck that. We're, as a community, we are talking to our own children and telling our own children, you see what happened? Don't ever do that. We don't have conversations with each other, let alone our children. So as a totality, are we responsible for school shootings? Yes. As a totality, are we responsible for rapes and molestation? I get this part. I want to say yes. I'm uncomfortable with saying yes, but I want to say yes. Because are we having conversations with our partners, our family members, that someone's behavior is despicable and I'm sorry, they can't come to the barbecue? My child better be safe. You better not invite Uncle Tom. You better not. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because how many times has Uncle Tom come to the barbecue with everybody knowing that grandma's brother is a pervert? Why is he here? Why does he get carte blanche to children? Children are a meal for him. Am I making everybody uncomfortable? Because we have to take ownership in knowing some things. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to be a victim again. And it doesn't, not again, be a victim, prayers that you never become a victim, and that you personally are responsible. That's not what I believe this is saying. I believe that this is saying society, society is you, are personally responsible for not handling the bad that comes with people making really bad choices. All right, moving on. I hope I made sense, guys, without making you feel uncomfortable, but I think I might have made people feel uncomfortable. But just so you know, God has given me everything I needed to help you. Everything. God gave me my sister to handle. It is not my fault, nor is it her fault that she got molested. But the minute I found out, let me tell you something. That woman had to lose her house. That woman had to lose her house. Because the team of people in the health department that looked at my sister and said, absolutely not. And that woman got fined and fined and like, there were things that they found, spot checking her off. They made her life miserable. Because when I wrote a report about what I had seen and all the trickery that I had seen, they came in there with better eyes. So they did not look at how pristine the house was. And they spot checked them. And they would say, how long has that girl been in that room? Do you understand? Because I wrote a letter. Oh, no, 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 no. I spoke to everybody, director of this, that, and the third. They even sent the fire department to her house. The fire department looking for anything to shut this woman down. I was dying. And not one time did they speak to me about what they were doing and how they were doing it. They just did their job. All I had to do was make a report. So, when it comes down to, are we responsible? Maybe I couldn't prevent what happened to my sister, but I wasn't going to stand for it, right? It was my job at this point to file a report with the bigwigs and make sure that they understood how devastated I was to hear this. It would be my job to say to Uncle Tom, if that was my brother, grandma's brother, I'd be like, we're having a barbecue. You are not invited. Remember that. Oh, poor Uncle Tom. Well, he hasn't done it in 10 years. Uncle Tom still got children's meals on his mind. Uncle Tom can never come. Sorry, ostracized Tom. Sorry. The answer is no. And as a generation grows up, the generation doesn't know about Uncle Tom. Y'all want to bring Uncle Tom back? No. Uncle Tom stays out. But Grandma, if you want to go visit your nasty brother, go ahead. Okay, I go overboard. Back to the book. Feed your hungry. Give dignity to your poor. Grant opportunity to your less fortunate. End the prejudice which keeps masses huddled and angry with little promise of a better tomorrow. Put away pointless taboos and restrictions upon sexual energy. Girl, God gave you sex. Sex is good. Sex makes babies. Have sex. You want to do it nasty? Go ahead. You want to be a stripper? Okay. It makes money. Not stopping you. You could be a prostitute for all I care. If that's how you feed your baby, somebody pays, do it. Rather, help others to truly understand its wonder and to channel it properly. Do these things and you will go a long way toward ending robbery and rape forever. As for the so-called accident, the truck coming around the bend, the brick falling from the sky, learn to greet each such incident as a small part of a larger mosaic. You have come here to work out individual plan for your own salvation. Yet, salvation does not mean saving yourself from the snares of the devil. There is no such thing as the devil, and hell does not exist. You are saving yourself from the oblivion of non-realization. You cannot lose in this battle. You cannot fail. Thus, it is not a battle at all, but simply a process. Yet, if you do not know this, you will see it as a constant struggle. You may even believe in the struggle long enough to create a whole religion around it. This religion will teach that struggle is the point of it all. This is a false teaching. It is in not struggling that the process proceeds. It is in surrendering that the victory is won. Accidents happen because they do. Certain elements of the life process have come together in a particular way at a particular time with particular results. Results which you choose to call unfortunate for your own particular reasons, yet they may not be unfortunate at all, given the agenda of your soul. Now, we're getting really deep here, like really deep. So I think I'm just going to stop there. And I just want to say accidents happen because they do. Certain elements of the life process have come together in a particular way at a particular time with particular results. Results which you choose to call unfortunate for your own particular reasons, yet they may not be unfortunate at all given the agenda of your soul. So let's talk about COVID, which has killed so many, right? And the why COVID is still here, people. Even though they were like, it ended in May 2023, it's actually people still getting COVID, right? But why? Here's what I found out with COVID. One, people weren't washing their hands. Disgusting. Disgusting. Wash your goddamn hands. But we learned that, right? We learned that not washing your hands contributed to the spread of COVID. We also found out that if you're already unhealthy, COVID likes that unhealthy part of you, right? We learned that. So if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, lupus, heart condition, anything, COVID likes that unhealthy part of you. Is there a way to handle that unhealthy part of you so that if COVID gets in, COVID doesn't get to take you out, right? For instance, if you're having high blood pressure issues and you're not taking your medicine every day and you're not eating right, COVID gets in and goes, well, I'm going to handle this. Me and high blood pressure are going to have fun inside your body because you didn't handle it from jump. You didn't exercise. You still ate at McDonald's, Subways, box foods. Not that it's your fault, because at some point, particularly in America, we think fast food is eating. But you have high blood pressure. And high blood pressure means it's your food. I promise you. Diabetes. Everyone says it runs in a family. It doesn't run in a family. What runs in a family is how you eat. And that's what we have to take control of. If we ate better, diabetes would not exist. High blood pressure would not exist. How many of us Black folks love hot sauce? If you have high blood pressure, you can have foods with hot sauce. And taking a pill doesn't cure the high blood pressure. Taking a pill masks the high blood pressure. Eating less volatile food handles high blood pressure. Looking at the labels and making sure you're not having sodium in your foods that's more than 230, 250, 270 tops. Anything beyond that, you're back to having high blood pressure. Just because you're eating something vegan like Beyond Burger, if you turn over, I think it's Beyond Burger, it has 1,100 milligrams of sodium in it. That's a killer for people that have high blood pressure, even though you're eating meatless foods. It takes a little work, but we all can figure out. And when we look at COVID, why did COVID come along? COVID, I believe, is a devastating condition that ravaged the whole world. I can only tell you what I saw, and I can only tell you that we were so unhealthy that COVID made us start thinking about natural foods again. And if COVID came along to at least teach Americans, I don't know about other countries, at least teach Americans about natural foods, maybe there's going to be a crisis in food. Maybe. And maybe many people sacrificed and went on to greener pastures because of you, to save you. Maybe millions of people loved you so much that they died for you. I don't know. Let's think of it that way. And if millions of people died in COVID because of me, maybe I'm not going to take that for granted. Maybe I'm going to understand that natural eating, planting a garden is the way to go, because maybe there's a famine coming. Maybe COVID is the precursor to something so much bigger. Maybe, like in the Bible, there could be 7 years of famine coming. And maybe to solve that, maybe COVID is the one that's teaching us we haven't been eating right. Not eating right allowed COVID to invade our bodies, took many people out. But if we started, like we have shown each other, drinking herbal teas that can combat the effects of this virus, that maybe the whole objective is to go back to natural eating, planting your own garden. And maybe if we started doing that, when the famine comes, I'm not predicting it, but I'm just saying maybe one is a precursor to the other, that maybe you can survive because you've already started a garden. I'm not saying you're going to eat well, like at a great restaurant. I'm saying you and your children won't die because of a famine, because it's time to restructure how we eat. And if we restructure how we eat, there will be no high blood pressure. There will be no diabetes. I promise you. Okay. I hope I helped. All right, guys. I'm going to insist that you all have a thoughtful week. I will see you here at this time next week. And many blessings. And thank you. Bye, everyone. Call me for your own personal readings. I'm here for you. 213-458-7408. 213-458-7408. I am available for reading. And I want to thank you for trusting me. I love you all. Take it easy. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.